Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I guess this is part 2 of Talkway Radio. But I've never. Maybe you need to start showing how you're using these weapons to hunt and things like that. I don't know if you can just say. I mean, we're going to have to see some things, some documentations and stuff, and that's fair. Do I think all firearms should be banned? No. And do I really think that America should be going about unarming Americans when we know that China has always been watching America and wanting to take America? And they knew they couldn't do it by force. And that's not just me trying to quote what I've heard or anything. I mean, think about it. In every country has been invaded in some form or fashion. Next door neighbors, individuals from across great vastness of water. But you never really see, I haven't seen an invasion in America yet. The only wars that have happened on our soil is amongst ourselves. So that tells me something. I would say just on a military homeland security front, I would ask myself, what has prevented that? It's not that we have an army with a lot of power, no, because our soldiers and troops are scattered all over the globe. They're not here, but yet we still will not be invaded. At the height of the Iraq War would have been a wonderful time for a full-scale invasion if they really wanted to. But I asked myself, why did that not happen? I would say because there's more guns in our country in the hands of individuals who know how to use them. Yeah, the gun culture can be a good thing and a bad thing. Maybe we stop putting every individual on some psychotropic medication when we see that they get depressed. Happy to say, you find the reasons of that and you address that. It's not with medicine. You know, you can feel bad and you can go and smoke as many joints, blunts, as much crack, meth, shoot up, whatever you want to shoot up, and you may feel good at that time, but you will not deal with the problem. Yeah, for a moment of peace, you will have, but you will not be free of that problem until you express it, learn how to cope with it, and it's not by medicine. If you have a cold, they tell you don't take this medicine for a period no longer than 7 days, 14 days. Why would you take a psychotropic, something that messes with your mind? The creators of this medicine says that you can go nutty and post it, but they push that on you for years. So maybe we need to find a better way of addressing our problems. And it comes down to that. And that's not because you have emotions or mood swings up and down. You find a way to regulate it. Even if it's just going to groups and sitting around talking. People need to do that more. You know, and you don't have to be court mandated to do it. You just go sit down and talk with people. They used to have all kind of community programs and things. And it wasn't by the government or the state. It was just citizens saying, hey, let's come together for 2 hours once a week and we talk about this, talk about that. Look how long, how many movies back in the 80s and 90s, that's what we saw. And they phased that out. Don't go and sit down and talk to people. Take medicine. Then you started seeing movies, and every time you see a movie, they run into a medicine cabinet. They get stressed out. They going for a bottle of pills. And they're taking more than 1 or 2 or 3. Or they just, the culture shows you to just pop a bottle and just chug it like a glass of milk, you know, and then you see individuals constantly getting put every time, oh, you're unhappy, take a pill. Oh, you just too giddy and like to bounce around, here, take a pill. You like to use your hands and touch things, not in a perverted way, you know, take a pill. You like to sit to yourself quietly and just read your book and observe people, you know, here, take a pill. No, ladies and gentlemen. But these are the things that need to be addressed. And if you want to deal with a gun culture, because I'm sorry, there's millions, over 100 million guns on the streets of America. buried in the woods, down in some caves, up in trees and in trees. I've seen it. There's a tree. They cut a hole in it and stockpile weapons. This huge tree. And if you don't cut it the wrong way, it'll live. There's millions of guns, so you would never get them all. How many people get guns, buy guns, and people die who own guns, and those guns go to sons and brothers, and then those get sold to cousins and uncles, and then those be given to neighbors, and then somebody else die, and the neighbor give it to a guy who's helping a friend in the neighborhood move and don't even live in that area, that county, that state, and they give them the gun and say, well, I don't want a gun in the house. I don't need this shotgun. This is my husband. So take this and you can have it. Thank you for helping me clean out my house and all of that, and good day. And now there's a rifle, a shotgun, a handgun in a whole nother state. You know nothing about it. So you cannot go door to door. If you start going door to door, that idea is just horrible when you ask them for trouble, because you got a lot of nutty people who listen to shows that just pump them up and got them geeked and ready. So as soon as something happens, they're going to bow up and they're going to flare up. And a lot of times it will be for the wrong reason at the wrong time. So you got to look at these type of things. So I don't know. I can't fight for an individual who wants assault rifles. I don't own an assault rifle. I don't need I don't need an assault rifle. I figure simply because I don't see the point in really needing one. I don't see going to hunt with an assault rifle. I don't see going to shoot skeets with a rifle. I shoot 30-06s, 7mm rifles. I shoot shotguns, handguns, but I never really. I've shot tactical rifles, but I've never seen a point. When I was shooting a tactical rifle, it was in mindset of how I would use this to shoot a person in some sort of combat role. I'm not in a combat role, but you got Call of Duties and Modern Warfares, and they say in Hollywood and the video gamers industry are being very quiet right now. Okay, they probably should keep their mouth shut and everything, but let's look at all of the problems. Everything that could affect. The president going to sit down having Biden come up with ban guns or some new crazy way to borderline infringe on the Second Amendment. That's not a good idea. I think we need to address other things, like the boy who went nutty. Everybody who's going crazy doing these mass shootings has some sort of problem. Divorce in the family, always picked on. Maybe we should find a reason and start teaching our kids you don't pick on other kids. You don't hit. Whatever happened to that? You don't start telling your kids they don't hit until they get to school and start hitting other people's kids, and then their parents want to start hitting you. So, this comes, the way an individual handle a rifle and what they decide to do with a gun, and it don't have to be a rifle, it's a gun, period, or a knife or a sword, because you got nuts doing this all over the globe right now. China, stabbing the hell out of people. People walking up in places pulling swords. And all of these people, and the first thing they want to say, they got a mental issue. Instead of you trying to say that 80% of America is cuckoo crazy, maybe you need to start saying, no, America ain't being raised right, so let's start raising our people right. You have a mass push on the old-fashioned way of living. You go to work, you respect this, you yes ma'am, no ma'am, you sit down, you eat your dinner at a regular time, you come home and actually do your homework first. School come before activities. You got kids, and if nobody probably noticed this but me, it seems like, but you got kids who's not that bright, educational-wise by the book, but they give you enough time to play all your major sports before you get your first report card, because they know most likely you're not going to pass a class and won't be able to play in the second part of the school year. So instead of you having your child play football because you want him to be some superstar in the neighborhood, why don't you focus on them doing educational things, homework? Why do you go to football practice before homework get done? I don't care if it's elementary, college, high school. I mean, we got our priorities mixed up. We spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on schools with football teams, and a few $100,000 on schools that have bands, that have orchestra, that has hundreds of kids that's great in drama. You know, great kids that's with math. Instead of you paying for tutors and having schools stay in an extra hour or two so the kids can learn. I heard the dumbest thing. I heard a high school counselor tell me this year that they couldn't give kids classes longer than an hour because they can't sit down and focus enough. Well, maybe the first thing you need to start teaching kids is how to focus. Come up with exercise with them focusing, even if it's an hour and they stay in focus. Why school can't be year-round? We're dropping so fast in the race of being smart. It's ridiculous. The greatest superpower of the in the history of the earth is basically dumber than a box of rocks. And this has been going on for years. So, I mean, when you turn around and try to fix it, that's where a major overhaul is. It's not putting more money into it. It's, look, we don't give a damn about football. We don't give a damn. Okay, that hour and a half that them football players are out on the field, put their asses in the classroom. Instead of only going to school for 180 days, it's 365 days in a year. Why they can't go to school for 340 days? You got other countries got their kids going to school on Saturdays and trying new things, and you see that they're exceeding and excelling far past us. But y'all want to argue about an assault rifle. Raise your damn kids right. You know, you got people who, I mean, our society is just so sick now that as soon as a massacre or something tragic happens, you got scammers trying to put together charity programs and scams just to get money off of it. It's like, who makes money off of death? Who makes money off of children? Who taught you that this was okay? See, that's where things need to be changed. They're being taught this stuff. How many movies show scams and justify it and glorify it? Even though the good guy wins, it still was a hell of a run for the bad guy, so fuck it. The world gonna end anyway, 2012, so, I mean, let's go. It's doomsday. You know, that's why you got nuts running around selling all of their property and all of their money and spending all of their money and just quitting jobs, and now they got to go to work tomorrow. Well, they can't go to work, but they need to go to work because they're in hellified debt. The world didn't end. As of right now, it's probably the middle of 12/21/2012, and nothing happened. That Chinaman who sold all this shit and quit his job and spent all his money, I'm sure he's feeling real bad. We might hear about him killing himself later on because people don't have a care for life. People don't respect life anymore. They do not have a sense of humanity. We're just mindless drones, it seems like, and it's sad. It's very sad. We're raising millions of kids with a horrible mindset. You got schools and television teaching kids that parents are friends and they do what they want to do, and we're just supposed to give them what they need to have a good time. They think it's funny because they see themselves get caught by the cops doing something wrong, and they take it home and it's over, and then the next episode, the next day, or later on that day, the next episode is fine and dandy, and that is as if it never happened. When in all actuality, you do something, the police come around and you're in contact with the police, you're going to jail. You're going to be on probation. You're about to spend hundreds of dollars. You're about to be on for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You're going to do 2 days, 5 days, a month, 2 months, 6 months in jail, a year, 2 years, 3 years in prison. But nobody's looking at all of this. Nobody's thinking anything about this. Disney glorify all of the bad shit that a kid could possibly do and make you look cute, and you wonder why your kids run around acting like they act. You wonder why we have a society the way in this predicament. You wonder why we are screwed. We are so rotten to the core. It's amazing that we made it this far. And now everybody want to start waking up and saying, let's wake up and let's fight this. And it's just so, it's like if we start peeling all of it and shaving off all of the rotten, man, we'll be down to the core with just a few seeds and maybe one good piece of meat. I mean, really, we have to fundamentally change the way we act. It's not let's regrade and categorize these games in their ratings and movies in their ratings. How about we don't write that shit? How about we don't play these games? I mean, really. If you just abruptly stop making that shit, you got so many video game heads, they're gonna still buy games. They're gonna steal you. Fuck a game. Read a book. Write a poem. Write a story. Look for a job. You got so many unemployed adults that play fucking video games. You got commercials. I met with Match Made in Halo. We met online playing video games. Now you together at your parents' house playing video games. Explain that to me. How is this right? What happened to America? Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I have to go to work. It's been wonderful talking with you guys. I'm sorry about the glitch. Again, from my Droid, I gotta readjust my settings so it doesn't do that. But again, part 2. Thank you for joining me. This is your host, Timothy Preston. It's always a pleasure. All right, you guys have a good one. Go to work. Go look for a job. Kiss your family. Nothing crazy happen. I will keep my firearm nearby if you feel the need to, because you got a lot of nuts going on and people are going to be upset and everything because they realize how screwed they are because they jagged off everything because they thought the world was going to end. And on that note, have a good day.